Sit, turn type, sit. Good boy. Ruff.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running. Liftoff.
Turnbuckle Tabloid cutting a promo. Cutting a promo, ladies and gentlemen. This week we discuss what we just viewed this past weekend, what transpired, and it's one for the ages, ladies and gentlemen. That I can say without a doubt, without a shadow of a doubt, it was one for the ages. For those who missed it, this past weekend on Saturday night's main event, we saw the ending of a career, and to say the least, it was somewhat to be expected. I don't know. Listen, honestly, I'm at a loss for words, honestly, because well, all right. So let me just go on to say before I go into all this, I just want to say there has been such a love-hate relationship between not only myself but the fan base, and I mean we all could say our thank yous and our tributes and such to the one known as John Cena, and many of us have had our moments with said man. Uh, there's been such a roller coaster of emotions when it came to what Cena has meant to us and many individuals and such. And it's to be fair, because sometimes it was the man was forced down our gullets, and another times he was what we needed at the time. And I think that's something that needs to be acknowledged with our love-hate relationship with him, because that's exactly what it was. We had that feeling that Cena was there. He was always around. He was always snatching up and taking the limelight from somebody that we loved and wanted to see get over. And this was just how they presented him to us. And he just wouldn't go away. He was just always there. I would go more in depth and introspective, probably with the crew at History and Headlocks. Check those guys out. Check out the returning Artie and Homework Mike on History and Headlocks. They discussed also the occurrence on Saturday night's main event earlier, so give them a look as well. And because I know they have a lot more to say than I do. Just quickly, but before I go into the Cena stuff, I'll just say quickly about my thoughts about Saturday night's main event. I thought it wasn't a bad show. I thought it was fine. I thought it seemed as though that this show was a launching pad for the possibility of next year. But knowing WWE and knowing how things have been going with booking and creative as such, I don't want to get my hopes up, but we did have some kind of showcase of the newer talent. We had Obafemi versus Cody Rhodes, which was looking to be a really, really good match. It gave the fresh face Obafemi a fresh look at a WWE crowd, and the crowd was able to resonate and show him love as well. It was looking to have a really, really good match until Drew McIntyre interrupted that, which is fine. Um, we also had a another NXT newcomer onto the main stage, Sol Ruka, go up against Bailey, which was basically just a spot fest. I mean, which is fine. I mean, this is what you're supposed to do, and Bailey as a veteran will tip the hat and help her out through the match and such. So everything was just set up, spot, set up, spot. Not, it was fine. The match that I thought was going to be the banger of the match was the tag team match with AJ Styles and Dragon Lee versus Javon Evans and Leon Slater. You know, I know everybody's heavy invested with the Javon Evans and Leon Slater uh, generation. That those two individuals are talented and have a large future in front of them. And I'm looking forward to see how the crowd gravitates to them and in the bigger arenas and such. At the same time, I've seen it before, and this is going to be a hot take, and most likely I'll probably do this on another segment because I could eat up a whole lot of time here. But with the two individuals here, I can honestly say that Mark Quinn has been doing a lot of this stuff like years before these guys were doing it. And you could argue with me. I mean, I've seen Mark Quinn do this 10, 12, 13 years ago. And once again, not to take away from any of them, but this goes to show that Quinn was ahead of his time. I've seen him do it in House of Glory. I've seen him do it in indie shows. How we were, we could have gotten glances of it at AEW, but yeah, but you know what? They don't know. I'll discuss that on another topic. But then we get to the last match, which was, of course, the main event: John Cena versus Gunther. Um, just the build up for the match alone was, all right. We all knew Gunther was going to win. I enjoyed the tournament more than anything else, although I knew what the end result was going to be. But I enjoyed the tournament more than anything else. But I still say that, we could have had more of a nail biter in some instances. We could have still had more moments where matches could have gone another way, leaned another way. I like I said, I was happy to see when Cardona and um, Nick Nemeth showed up. Those kind of matches. LA Knight versus Cardona was a great match as such. Carmelo showcased in these matches as well. It looked great here. So I am I was okay with the tournament. But as for the end results in a whole, we knew what we were gonna get. We got Gunther, so we got Gunther. So let me just give you my thoughts and feelings of the man John Cena himself. I watched it live when he debuted. I watched the whole ride. I was explaining it to brother AJ at the Seneca when we were watching it. I said, I'm emotional about it because it's you watch people's careers, you know, and you were there for the whole ride. You know, my earliest recollection of watching a full career of somebody. Can't say Jordan because I got into sports and like with basketball stuff maybe a little bit later. It was like 90, I mean like 86, 87. So it was like around that. So Jordan was already started. I think maybe the only one I could probably equate it to say that I've watched, and and mind you, I've seen many careers, but to say one that I said, wow, this was great was, and to be honest with you, I'm not even a fan of the team, but was Derek Jeter. You know, That was the one. You seen Derek Jeter come up, and I watched him his whole career. You know, then the next one now will be like LeBron. LeBron will be the next one. Wrestling wise, wrestling is funny because no one ever retires. This is a retirement for Cena, but no one ever retires. And when it came when the announcement happened that this was going to be his last run, everybody was like, "Wow, this is actually happening." So, um, just like I said, made me think about the whole transition with him, how he came in with his match against Kurt Angle, uh, launching the Ruthless Aggression era. His match with Undertaker putting him over. Um, you get that those big matches where he turned and became the Doctor of Thugonomics. Um, his U.S. title win. You know, little by little, you grew to love this guy, and from what became this Doctor Thugonomics guy, it became the flagship of the company. And I was talking to brother AJ. I said, there's one thing that people don't really give credit to Vince McMahon is to put his finger on someone and say that person is going to be a megastar, not a superstar, a megastar in wrestling. Hulk Hogan, he just knew that he was going to be a mega star. Now, Vince has made superstars. He's made, great individuals in wrestling. But, some came from other territories. Some were legacies and such. But Vince knew that you were only going to get a few of these in your hand. The Rock was almost there. If Rock would have stood around a little bit long, Rock to me is almost a megastar. Almost. He was there. He had it, but he didn't have as many years under his belt as in wrestling as the other two did. But Hulk came in, and Vince knew, although with his look, he was like 20-something-year-old, he looked like he could have been in 40s and such, but he was ideal America. Even putting them in the red and yellow, which match, America's favorite fast food, McDonald's, was a genius idea. But with Cena, he just knew, he just looked at this kid and he said, this kid has got something. And mind you, out of all the people that he had to pick from, you had the Brock Lesnar's in that group. You had Randy Orton's. You had a Batista. Out of all that, Shelton Benjamin, out of all those guys in that group, he knew the one that the least likely to break out through there was going to be John Cena. And far be anyone to say that Vince does not know his eye for talent is something ridiculous. And I say it to this day. Cena will be the last megastar in WWE or in wrestling history. That's it. There's no, prove me wrong, but there's no one that's going to be a megastar. And when I talk about megastar, I'm talking about when you see an icon, when you see like a logo of a certain individual, you just know who that person is. For instance, if you see the shape of a bald head, immediately you say that's Michael Jordan. If you see a silhouette of a golf swing, you'll say that's Tiger Woods. If you see someone flexing their arms, you'll go, that's Hulk Hogan. And when you see this, a person saluting, you're gonna say that's John Cena. And when you speak megastar, people know who they are without even knowing they're from wrestling. That's megastar. He's everywhere. The guy does everything from movies, TV shows, to pistachio voiceovers. Like, He's everywhere. And as many times that people would say, like with The Rock, when Rock is on does a movie, everybody goes, well, Dwayne Johnson's only playing Dwayne Johnson in the movie. With Cena, you don't get that because he's been showing his versatility. And if it's because he's cut his teeth in wrestling, yeah, that was his launching pad. So now here comes the part where you're just like, well, we knew that he was going to be the new toy that was going to be played with all the time, and he just wouldn't go away. Even when he was hurt, he just wouldn't go away. Remember the return at Royal Rumble when he thought that he was going to be out for over a year, and he came back less than 8 months. He just wouldn't go away, and that's just commitment. That's just drive, the ability to want to do this. There's a lot of people who come into the business and people who say, there's such iconic individuals in wrestling, but never loved the business. Mind you, listen, how many of us really love our jobs? I mean, I say I love my job, or the case maybe, and I do, and for certain aspects. But if I had a decision to fucking walk away and do something else, I would be gone. Yeah. But with John, it's like he was there, never went away, and he proved it to us because he kept winning and just kept beating everybody we've loved to see, and would get booed out the building and John Cena sucks chants, but yet he still was there. He never went away. And you could say, that was the most frustrating part. And yes, it was, especially to me. I mean, there was so many times that I'm like, what the fuck, bro? Like, go somewhere. But you still got to say commitment, determination, drive. And that's what he tried to share with his fan base. On this night for his last match, first of all, I thought they picked the perfect place. Washington, D.C., that crowd is fucking ridiculous. They have now proven that they could be rowdier than any other fucking arena. They're more rowdier than, they could be more rowdier than Philly. They could be rowdier than Boston. They could be rowdier than New York. That crowd was relentless. They were ridiculous. They let it be known where it was and who they were there for. And this was one thing to say, that if you wanted to do the heel turn, and I mentioned it before, it should have been done at Mania. Give it about a month or two run, let it, simmer, and then come back. Because at least it was bit of on a biggest stage, biggest platform, and I know they wanted everyone, they wanted to dot the I's across the T's of everything that John wanted to do that he was never able to do. We saw it that he finally became a Grand Slam champ. He was having these epic matches, especially his match with AJ Styles. We saw all this, and Cena wanted to go out the way Cena wanted to go out, and honorable and such. And then on this night, this was their time to say, I'm gonna go out against Gunther. Gunther's not for everybody, but Gunther is the classic heel that fits the John Cena narrative. He's not from this country. He's a very stalwart. Everything is, honor, discipline, disrespect. And it played perfectly against hustle, loyalty, and respect, right? The match itself, I like I said, I wasn't upset with it. I thought the match was fine. It went according to the what we would have thought it was going to be. And by the way, a lot of people were saying, why wasn't this on NBC? Why wasn't it on NBC? Because we weren't going to see the end. Because if they had a 10 o'clock hour to hit, they would have changed. They're going to change programming. So the best thing they did was put it on Peacock. So, they had a heart out of 10 on NBC, they wouldn't have been able you wouldn't have been able to get all the goodies, but because this did run over. I thought the like I said, the crowd made this match go. I thought just seeing the last five knuckle shuffles, the last STFs, SCFUs, the last the last salutes, everything. I mean, he threw everything out there. Uh, you felt the emotion from the crowd. You felt the people in the arena that was there. The stars, the wrestlers of past. You felt that. You were there with them. You were there on that ride. And you know, when you get to that point where it's time to bring it home, when they tug the ear or they, put the pencil in the ear or, you get that, all right, let's bring it home, guys. You want to see him go out just as how he lived it in the ring. And fine, Gunther was going to put him, he wasn't going to pin him. Gunther was going to make him pass out or tap out. And the one thing that you wanted to say was, don't tap out, never give up. And, you know, we got that moment where he's there being held, winks and nods to the camera, gives a little smile, and then that's it. He taps. It's over. For a moment I was like, oh, it's great. It's over. The match is over. But brother AJ says, no, he tapped out. Like, what happened to never give up? And I was like, shit, you're right. What happened to never give up? So I thought about it for a while and I'm thinking, is it giving up that he did? Or it just says, okay, I'm done. And I wrestled with this for a while because I know there was a lot of back and forth. Well, the first thing that people need to understand is, oh, Cena lost. He should have won. Okay. Once again, I'm trying to explain this to you people for the umpteenth time. If it's known that you're going to retire, if it's known that you're going to lose, I mean that you're going to go out, you are going to lose. You're going out on your back. That is wrestling tradition. You go out on your back. There's only two people I've ever seen in recently that have gone to retirement and won. One was Sting, which why? And two was as recently as Homicide. Homicide went and they actually won. He actually won his last match. And the reason why they did that because they wanted him to retire as the forever outlaw champ at the promotion he works for. But even still, when I asked him, he said it himself, I wanted to go out on my back, but they told me, no, that's not how we're going to do it. So, but in tradition, you go out on your back and it's fine. But like I said, I'm struggling to deal with the tapping out and, trying to put together, say, is tapping out saying I quit or tapping out saying I'm done. Like it's over for me. And of course, we saw the backlash that was going on, and mind you, Gunther has gotten nuclear heat right now. Like he's gotten ridiculous heat, phenomenal heat. And fans were following. They needed extra security to get him to the car. So that's quintessential wrestling. So I'm not sure if I'm unhappy or if I'm okay with how it happened, but I know that the tapping thing was was a strange way to go out. I really do. I don't. I'm not sure if that was the best way to go. Cena gave so much. Cena gave so much to the business. I mean, it's ridiculous how much effort and time and energy he put forward to not only the fan base but to the company themselves. Like it's crazy to see. Like you say, wow, all those years, wow, almost 25 years. Yeah, and we look at those years and did we did we appreciate it? Did we take our time to embrace the fact that this man, you know, listen to our boos, our jeers, you know, put in all that time and effort, especially when it came to the make a wishes and stuff. Did we not appreciate this? It takes a lot of time and effort and just clarity and knowing that someone actually really gave a fuck about the business like Cena did. Um, did I get emotional? Yeah, I did. I did because, like I said, it was watching a whole career. I wear this zip up hoodie, and it's Bret Hart, and even I could say as a Bret Hart diehard that I didn't watch his career from the beginning to end. Remember, they came from Calgary, they came from Stampede Wrestling and stuff, and he got to WWF and he was in a tag team and such. So um I wasn't a Bret Hart fan when he was a tag team. I loved the Hart Foundation, but was I a fan of Bret? No, he was kind of bland and you know was really didn't do he wasn't really charismatic. But then when he became a singles, that's when I became a bigger fan of Bret Hart. And he didn't get the opportunity to get a exit like John did because of injuries, because of what occurred. He didn't get the opportunity to have that. So I have to say that this is like a it's like the first time in professional wrestling that I sat there and I went, wow, yeah, this is an emotional thing. This is something. Uh, Even with Rick's retirement, it was like, he was coming back. Please, with Ric Flair, they didn't know he was coming back. With Sean, it wasn't as impactful either. It just it is. But with John just it was knowing that a lot of kids who grew up with him. Hell, my cousin, my little cousin, she's almost 30, and she was there the whole ride with Cena. So I know this was something that was monumental to her. Shout out to Janaea. I know she was feeling it, and you know, it, you get those young John Cena, you can't see me fans who are now in their 20s, almost 30s, and like, wow, yeah, it's done. It's been recently noted that Cena will be an ambassador for WWE for the next 5 years, and it just goes to show you that even though he's done outside the ring, he's still ready to do it for them at any other time frame. And yeah, like I said, love hate relationship with the man, but at the end, the crowd, the fan base, the universe gave their undivided love and attention back to John Cena for what he's done. And I have to say that I found this at a thrift store not too long ago, and I was wondering would I ever put it on, and I said, you know what, maybe not, until I looked at it this morning and I said, yeah, I'll do it this one time. Yeah. I'll give the old Cena salute. Say thank you, John. Thank you for the years and commitment and the love-hate relationship we had with you, but also the ability to put people over, ability to squash people, but also um, being able to, although you never wanted to go away or you couldn't go away for a long period of time, being able to showcase that you were probably the last quintessential megastar and professional wrestler, not only WWE but wrestling, whatever. See again. Much more to come down the line, ladies and gentlemen. Got some other takes coming down the line this upcoming week. Make sure you follow us for all that. Wrestling Rundown is going to have tons of stuff on it, and got much more to talk about. Make sure you check out History Headlots, who had just dropped their episode of Saturday night's main event, and they gave their reviews and such about it. But also check out more content, more stuff happening, ladies and gentlemen, in the holiday season. We're still gonna be cracking it out some way, somehow. But make sure you follow us on all the podcasting outlets as well as on all of the socials such as TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, New York Wrestle Media, New York Wrestle Media, ladies and gentlemen. I'm getting choked up. All right, guys. And as always, don't go anywhere. Stick around. Much to talk about. See you guys in a sec. In a sec.
2, 1, 0. All engine running. Liftoff.
Sit, turn type, sit. Good boy. Ruff.